There is a known history of the Bidens hating Kamala Harris going back to the 2020 elections when Kamala first went for the jugular at Joe Biden on the debate stage, pretty much calling him a racist.
She did.
And I think I remember reading after that how Jill Biden just totally was on the warpath against Kamala Harris. And these are the top politicians in the country. There is no optic that will go unnoticed or unthought about. So Joe Biden putting on a MAGA hat is a significant stab to Kamala Harris.
Is it?
It really is. Charlemagne the God called him the donkey of the day for doing it. Democrats were pissed off about it. They scrambled to try and claim that was no big deal. It's no big deal. He says unity. No, I think that was
it was a screw you.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't call it an endorsement. I think it was I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm done with this. Could you imagine some people were tweeting, and I know it's wishful thinking, the October surprise is actually Biden coming out saying vote Trump?
That would be hilarious. Or if he withdraws his endorsement from Kamala.
Then they might say that.
Like, what if he's like, I've been thinking,
Biden's too old.
Wouldn't that be funny though if they're like, actually he's senile, we must remove him right now?
Yeah. I mean, 25th Amendment right now.
But what if he just says, actually, I've been thinking about it. This process wasn't right. She didn't win the primary. I can't, in good faith, continue to endorse Kamala Harris, who otherwise is a lovely lady, I'm sure. What if he just sort of turns tides and starts just not being pro-Trump, but being subtly anti-Kamala?
It'd be funny if he comes out and he just says, if you take a look at my political positions from the 90s, some 30 some odd years ago into the 80s, I mean, we're going almost 40 years ago, I kind of agree with Donald Trump on most of these things. The only reason Joe Biden's politics now are what he's being told to say. All this progressive stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if you go look at Joe Biden when he was half this age or whatever, he should be endorsing Trump.
He's hardcore. He was hardcore in the 90s. Like, he was real anti-drugs. I mean, he signed that drug law, the kind of dumb drug law, the 92, I think it was, or something, 94. Is it common, Joel, for staffers to control candidates' Twitter accounts?
Tell us, Mr. Comms guy.
I mean, it depends on the dynamic of your, just how you have your communications strategy set up. I know when I was on the Gates team, I primarily managed his official @RepMattGates account. That was where we put all of our, congressional news out. The @Matt Gates account that he controls, he totally controls that. I don't have any passwords or anything. So everything you see from that account is him. Same goes with Lauren Boebert. I primarily am controlling the @RepBoebert account, which is, where we push out that news, and she controls her own account. It could be different for other people.
I think it should be federally mandated that it says on the account if it's controlled by staffers, firstly, so that you can't run a coup against the candidate.
Some of them do say that in the bio. Some of them will say, this is...
Some of them do have a, I forget who has this. I think Chip Roy has a Chip Roy press office title. I think it'd be helpful to know that some staff are putting up. But ultimately, when, if a congressman is signing off on a tweet, that's their voice too.
Yeah, but Ian's right. It should be a law that any material representation must be if the account is run by multiple people, then you should not be able to, as a politician, say that it's you when it's someone else.
Especially like what we're looking with Biden, like someone, if that truly is the administrative state was in there, and I'm just saying his staffers might have been contacted by like deep state, been like, you're going to be putting this stuff out now, and Biden's no longer with us anymore. And they're like, okay, we're going to do what we're told because that's why we're here. We're learning and we're with you. Who knows? But I don't want someone to run a social media coup on my candidate, basically. So I need to know that someone else has access to that account. That's the point. And I think that's what they did, is they ran a social media coup on Biden. I don't know. I can't prove it because I can't tell if he controlled that account or someone else did. But the stuff that was coming out of that did not sound like the words coming out of his mouth.
Oh, I don't think he runs his official, his accounts at all. I mean,
Trump?
I don't think he runs.
Biden.
Trump
100%
runs his accounts. I think it would be even difficult to replicate his random capitalization. He is making it so that he is a unique voice only on his platform. But that was not the case with Biden at all. I think there was even a case where Karine Jean-Pierre clearly tweeted
Yep.
like something she meant to be from her account that was actually delivered from the Biden account. The day and age of social media is fascinating, and it is also interesting to sort of contrast the presidency with especially Congress, because there are so many young people coming up who are aware of how influential social media can be. I mean, this is one of AOC's big wins, that she established a voice on social media that people really felt resonated with who she was. I think other staffers are able to do this, but not all of them have the same tenacity for it.
It would be great if there were visible short-term consequences to being stupid and being wrong. So, Karine Jean-Pierre says insane things every day, and I don't even know why anyone bothers to pay attention. And then you get poor Ducey over there asking real questions, and then she just gives a nonsense answer, and all the other corporate press just clap. And I'm like, in governance, the problem is someone will propose a policy, and we don't know what the ramifications are going to be. Just sounds right. If there was a way to actually run a simulation before doing it, that would be great. And then I started thinking, like, what if that's the real purpose of the simulation that we're in? It's one of the most inconsequential things ever. It's a session of Congress, and they're like, I've got a bill proposing a tax on imported cheeses from Europe. Well, we need to see what it's going to do before we vote yes on it. So the entire universal span of our existence right now is actually just a 3-minute AI button press in Congress where they're trying to see what happens with this one particular tariff.
I've actually thought that when your body dies, that you get to time speeds up and you get to see the rest of reality play out as if it was programmed by your behavior up to that point. So like, depending on what you do in your life, you're going to see the result of it play out really quickly afterwards. And you'll be like, oh, well, I didn't like how all that turned out. I'm going to try that again, kind of thing.
I don't know what that has to do with
if you retry it or
policy
not
or anything, but my statement also
sort of like you are the supercomputer witnessing your own.
Yeah, I don't
programming.
know if I trust the AI that much right
But we should have
I'm just
AI.
saying, like,
Altman's AI or Elon's AI?
I'm just saying the
Which
issue
one's
with
making the
Congress
decision?
is they say, hey, we want to ban this thing, and they don't actually know what that's going to do. So perverse incentives is the best example of these mistakes that government often makes. Shout out to Chris Rufo, who offered $5,000 for evidence of people eating cats in Springfield, Ohio, to which I pointed out, all that's going to happen is some Haitian dude's going to be like, dude, quick, get a cat. We're going to get $5,000. Like, they don't care about the news.
You're a good point. You make a good point about AI, and a useful function for AI would be to run simulations on outcomes of policy, like super computations and stuff like that on quantum computers. That'd be great to be able to watch like 7,000 potential outcomes of one vote. Oh,
Or
that'd
if
be
members of Congress could just read the bill,
What a crazy concept!
or not be paid by taking lobbyist money to
Or they weren't
make decisions on their behalf.
Or they weren't allowed to sneak unrelated additions into any.
Yeah,
bill.
let the bills be single subject bills and pertain to the actual germanity of what they're talking
Did
about.
you guys ever with the Gates office? Did you? I don't want you can't speak for Matt, obviously, but did you guys ever like regret pushing McCarthy out?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, he was a liar. There was nothing that could be trusted out of his mouth because he was owned by the special interests and the lobbyists. And he had repeatedly made these promises that were broken, and we weren't going to tolerate it if we had something to do about it.
Was it where his hands tied and he just had no? He's like a cog in a machine it's like you're in that position now. You're going to do what you're told, kind of thing.
McCarthy?
Yeah, and the new guy. What's the new guy? Mike Johnson.
Well, I think if you're in government, you have a responsibility to do what you said you were going to do when you got elected. And I don't remember him going up on a campaign stage and said, I'm going to do the bidding of the lobbyists from now until forever.
Wouldn't it be funny if he had, though? He was just like, I'm here for the lobbyists. What was the fallout afterwards? I mean, were you guys, were the congressmen who really pushed against the speaker ostracized in any way? Did you see that the movement had some support? Were there?
Oh, I mean, they were calling for Gates to be kicked out of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
Some even throwing.
But that's obviously died away. I mean, like today as it stands.
But like immediately after we kicked him out, I mean, lots of people were calling for him to even be expelled.
Matt
Yeah.
Gates.
But he
Yeah,
wasn't. So
Congress.
what were the consequences today? Like, there is a new speaker now. Do they do this? Is this something that comes up a lot? Are people unwilling to work with certain congressmen because of this tie to trying to oust the last speaker?
No, I think it's kind of exposed this Wizard of Oz mentality that these past speakers have been going through. Like Paul Ryan had no heart. Then you got Kevin McCarthy, who has no brain. And now we have Mike Johnson, who has no courage. And it is frustrating to when you don't have the votes to get a genuine person who will be a change agent in those positions, to just have, someone who kind of turns out to just be another disappointment. But, at the end of the day, we were facing an option between keeping this, lobbyist puppet in office and not fighting our battles, or we could try something new. And we decided to try something new because we told our constituents that we were going to be fighting for the promises that we had told them that we got from the January fight, which were single subject spending bills, and a lot more. And they didn't live up to that. And they thought that they could, push us around and, keep pushing the deadline keep moving the goalposts for things that needed to be done up until, the end of the year when they should have been working on it all year. And, we weren't going to have it. So
You mentioned before the show about the continuing resolution bill that had there was something attached about that Massey was talking about. What was that?
Yeah, there's a bill called the SAVE Act that was attached to the CR, or was supposed to be attached to the CR, which actually was passed a few months ago. I think over 221 members of Congress voted in favor of it, including I think 5 Democrats. Might be wrong on that, but there were definitely Democrats who joined in on the bill. And that was kind of like the shiny object for people to vote for the CR. And the SAVE Act's good, but it wasn't going to be implemented in time for November. And, like President Trump said on True Social, if there weren't absolute assurances that we were going to get election security, you should vote no on it. And it looked like eventually both sides said that they weren't going to vote for it.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe and we'll see you all there.